We're talking about a fun book today called Cure for the Common Life by Max Lucado. Now, there's another book that might be his most famous book called You Are Special. That's what it's called. About Punchinello, however you say it. In fact, it was made into this little animated movie. It's a beautiful children's book that we'll review, but this is a really fun one for youth and adults. He's a Christian preacher, so it's Christian worldview, and the subtitle is Living in Your Sweet Spot, and he uses that term over and over again. It's kind of along the lines of this movement in our day about finding purpose. There are a lot of people wandering around who don't like what they do professionally. That's mostly what he's targeting, about finding a way. He wants to help people find a way to better know who they are, and as they have better understanding of themselves, to move in a direction of doing more of what they would love to do, and to not be materialistic or worldly about it, to be content with a conservative, modest lifestyle, and then to just go about doing the thing that they love to do and see where it takes them. And I love his perspective of how he approaches the subject, and he's got a lot of really valuable exercises in here. There's a quote that I love from The Science of Getting Rich, where he talks about working with excellence where you are as you move in the direction of the thing you want to do. And I think that's a perfect way to talk about what Max Lucado would love to have happen. He really believes that we should do what we're doing today, what we're called to do today, whatever our job is or profession, we should do it with excellence. We should do it as best we can, but we should pay attention and get to know ourselves better and move in a direction of doing something that we would enjoy more. We could begin as a hobby, and then it can move into a profession. In fact, my husband and I are right in the middle of this ourselves. For several years, he's been very unhappy with his career. He's complained about it for a long time, and we talked about a lot of different options, and for several years he's talked seriously about, I think I would like to do marriage and family therapy. I think I would really like to save marriages. That's how he says it to people. And I was very, supportive of that, wanted him to do that. We finally got ourselves into a financial situation in the right frame of mind, and he gained the confidence and the desire and the ability, and the timing was right. The timing is right now for us. We've raised many children. We've healed our own marriage. So it's perfect timing for him to do that. He's working on his master's degree, which I'm super excited about. So he's working with excellence where he is in the career that he doesn't really like, so that he can do the thing that he really wants to do, and he's gaining the credentials and the experience to do that. So it's something that we really believe in. It's something that over time I've learned to discover. This is one of my favorite things to do, is to just talk about books, talk about education and learning and self-learning. That's why I promote book discussions, because I believe that that is the very best way that we can educate ourselves as adults all our lives, be lifelong learners by reading great books and discussing them. And so that's why I do what I do, and I really believe that Max Lucado was right, that we can find our niche in the world and something we can do. I mean, I don't even get paid to do this, but I don't care. I don't care if I get paid, because I love it. And that's why I'm writing the book that, putting together the book group Bible, so that people can have tools that I've gained and it can bless them. So that's what Lucado wants for us. Your sweet spot is the place you love to be, where you thrive, and when people see you doing it, it's just obvious that you were made to do it. And he really believes that we were made to do certain things, that we all have different gifts, and if we would be more aware, and if we would be less worldly, we could each move ourselves in a direction of doing something that we love to do, and we would be more more happy, we would be more helpful to others, we would just lead more joyful lives. It would be sweet. It would be a sweet spot to be. One of the things, I can't actually remember if it's in Business as a Mission or if it's in this book, where it is, but one thing that seems to be a common theme in these kinds of books is the idea that you'll lose your sense of time. Like when you're doing it, it just, like, time flies by, and you, oh man, it's another hour, it's another 2 hours, it's another day, because you love doing it so much. So he talks about what the sweet spot is, and then And he always is putting it in a God frame of reference and connecting it to God and our obligation to God and to the world. He says, God endows us with gifts so we can make him known. That's his whole paradigm, is that I have specific gifts and talents and you have specific gifts, and if we'll couple that with hard work and we'll be determined to move in a direction of doing something that we love to do, then we will magnify God. It will bring God into people's lives. That's what I hope I'm doing. I hope I'm bringing people to God. I hope I'm helping them find truth. I hope I'm helping make their lives happier through simply providing book recommendations for them and help and aid and educating themselves. So that's what he says it's all about. When you magnify your Maker with your strengths, when your contribution enriches God's reputation, your days grow suddenly sweet. He gives this example of himself. He's a preacher. I think he lives in Texas. And he was on this committee to try to make logistical decisions. And he remembered having sat through meetings several days in a row or something like that. I can't remember exactly how he tells the story. But then they're sitting there trying to decide on parking spaces. And he's thinking, this is not my sweet spot. This is not what I want to be doing. Now, as Business as a Mission teaches, sometimes there's things we have to do that are part of our mission that bring their own satisfaction because they're what we have to do. I have to upload videos. Not my favorite thing to do. I've had to learn about web work and web design, and there are just things that go with, if I want to do this, I've got to do this other stuff over here. So it's not that. It's just realizing he was beginning to spend way too much time in the stuff that he did not like. And it was it was souring the other things that he wanted to do. So he gives these, he tells a lot of really awesome, inspiring stories. He quotes some of the greats, but he gives practical exercises. Unpack your bag, read your life backward. The last half of the book, starting on page 147, it's a Sweet Spot Discovery Guide. This whole last half of the book is the exercises. Going through, okay, so you're going to answer these questions and you're going to fill in this stuff just to try to help you. You may have a better understanding of yourself than someone else, but going through the exercises will really kind of help narrow in on it's this specific audience, it's this specific thing. And he tells a lot of really fun stories about people who I'll read you this one story that's really fun near the beginning. I recently met a 20-year-old who needed to hear this. Just discharged from the military, he was pondering his future. He bore a square jaw, a foreman tattoo, and a common question. He didn't know what to do with the rest of his life. As we shared a flight, he told me about his uncle, a New England priest. What a great man, the ex-soldier sighed. He helps kids and feeds the hungry. I'd love to make a difference like that. So I asked him the question of this chapter. What were some occasions when you did something you loved to do and did it well? He dismissed me at first. What I love to do is stupid. Try me, I invited. Well, I love to rebuild stuff. What do you mean? He spoke of an old coffee table he'd found in a garage. Seeing its potential, he shaved off the paint, fixed the broken legs, and restored it. With great pride, he presented it to his mom. Tell me another time, I prompted. This one is really dumb, he discounted. But when I worked at a butcher shop, I used to find meat on the bones others threw out. My boss loved me. I could find several pounds of product just by giving the bone a second try. As the plane was nosing down, I tested a possibility with him. You love to salvage stuff. You salvage furniture, salvage meat. God gave you the ability to find a treasure in someone else's trash. My idea surprised him. God? God did that? Yes, God. Your ability to restore a table is every bit as holy as your uncle's ability to restore a life. You would have thought he'd just been handed a newborn baby. As my words sank in, the tough-shouldered soldier teared up. See your desires as gifts to heed rather than longings to suppress, and you'll find the same joy. So this is going to go through, it's going to give you biblical stories and examples. It's going to give a lot of how to do stuff. And this is the thing that I love. I love not just that it's practical and and helpful in that way. But then he goes on to say, take big risks for God. God doesn't want us to be shy with his gifts, but bold and loving and sensible. And he encourages us to take risks and to come to our sweet spot and to do something. And he says, applaud God loud and often. You've got to use your gifts to make other people better, to make the world a better place. And you've got to get rid of he says, tank your reputation. Don't worry about what others think of you, and get rid of your materialism. It's just about discovering what God what talents he's given you and what he would love to have you do, and then figuring out ways to go out in the world and do it. And you'll be like Schweitzer and like Suzuki. You'll have, roads that don't go exactly where you want them to go. You'll have dead ends as you try to figure it out. There's been, my husband and I, perfect examples, even with my children, helping them, okay, it's this area, it's music. Okay, but now what? Now what are the details? I don't know. You have to work that out over time. So he'll help you with some discovery. He'll help you with some core principles of doing something, having a purpose that really will make you joyful, that will make your life better. You could pick something and you could go out and do it. You might even be really gifted at it. But if you don't applaud God like he talks about, if you don't take risks, and if you're totally focused on materialism, it won't be joyful for anyone. It won't develop relationships and build your character. And that's what we want. So I love his approach to it. Purpose-driven life is another one that's fabulous to do alongside this one. Also a Christian worldview. I don't love every page of either book, but you can skim when you feel bored and go to the most important things, and especially use the exercises in the back to help you discover you and discover your place in the world a little more clearly and experience that joy. So, Cure for the Common Life, Max Lucado. See you next time.